New emails from crackhead Hunter Biden's laptop show that daddy Vice President Joe Biden is somebody who paid Hunter Biden's legal bills to a Chinese mining company that robbed America of its cobalt. There's a lot here. We're going to start with Jen Psaki getting very agitated there in DC as these questions continue to come in about Joe and Hunter's involvement. We'll look at the email that show that Joe Biden is the person who actually paid the bills. This is from Katie Dodge to the rest of the VP team. We'll also review the invoice from Fager Baker Daniels showing that Eric Sherwin, Hunter's business partner over at Rosemont Seneca Advisors, was involved in the deal. And then lastly, we'll see why this is so important, because all of this was involving a very important mineral, something called Cobalt, $3.8 billion deal that gave the Chinese essentially total access. The Biden administration now acknowledging this could be problematic for the United States. Starting at the top, we have Jen Psaki out on April 27, 2022 at about 12:59. Breaking 911 posted this over on Twitter. The quote is, "The president does not get involved in the business dealings of his son. He's not involved in his son's business dealings." And you're going to hear a little bit of a tone change from Jen. A lot of stories have been percolating showing that Joe Biden was actually involved in a lot of this stuff, as we're going to see, even so far as paying his bills for some of these deals. But Jen is getting agitated with this story. Here's what that sounds like.
We've heard the president say over and over again that he has never spoken to his son about his business dealings. Has he ever spoken to his son's business partners
like Eric
about
Sherwin?
his son's business dealings?
Again, nothing has changed about what I said yesterday. The president does not get involved in the business dealings of his son.
Does not get
Even
involved.
through his son's business partners?
Nothing has changed since what I said yesterday.
Nothing has changed.
I don't believe you answered that part of my question yesterday.
He's not involved in his son's business dealings.
He's not involved in his son's business dealings. A little agitated there. Am I wrong about that? Normally, she just sort of scoffs it off, but now she's like, I've answered this many times and I don't want to answer it again. And it's probably because stories like this keep coming out. We saw this back on April 23rd from John Levine and Miranda Devine, New York Post. They've been, I think, 100% accurate thus far, even though Twitter suspended them, got them off of the platform for spreading around the Hunter Biden story. They pushed it off their platform, calling it hacked materials, saying that, in the middle of an election season, that was an appropriate thing to do. Elon, of course, may be reversing some of this, but they were right then. New York Times, Washington Post, Bloomberg, everybody else is like, oh yeah, sorry, I guess we can talk about this now. But they were right from day one, and they're still following the story. And they confirmed back on April 23rd, Joe Biden met with Hunter Biden and his business partners at the White House. So Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and the business partners. Well, I thought that they weren't involved in any deals. Something that Jen Psaki has been confirming for us for the last 2 years. But this story says Hunter Biden's closest business partner made at least 19 visits to the White House and other locations between 2009 and 2015, including a sit-down with then Vice President Joe Biden. They went through visitor logs. Eric Sherwin met with Vice President Biden on November 17, 2010 in the West Wing when he was the president of the since-dissolved investment fund, Rosemont Seneca Partners. So Joe Biden was in fact meeting with Hunter Biden's business partners. The journalist was asking Jen Psaki about it. She said, nothing's changed. Leave me alone. I'm really irritable today. And I'm not going to answer that. I refer you back to what I said yesterday and the month before that and the month before that, which has always been non-answers. But now the media is sniffing around because Joe Biden's in office and he's doing a terrible job and they don't really want him in charge anymore. And so now they have to sort of feign journalism, and they're doing some of that. And those questions are not landing well at the White House. And it's going to continue there, Jen, because more is coming out. It turns out Daddy Vice President Biden did in fact know about a lot of these business deals. He was meeting with them at the White House, but he was also paying some of Hunter's bills, including legal bills for the restructuring of these exact business deals. We're going to see exactly how this was pieced together by people over at the Daily Mail. Hunter's bills is the subject of this email, and this email came out very conveniently January 17, 2019, right around the time Joe Biden's making decisions whether they're going to shove him in front of the American people in case they need to break glass. They did that. 1/17/2019, they've got a lot of cleaning up to do. Hunter's about to go on front stage and they've got to make sure all those skeletons in his closet have been dealt with. This email comes from Katie Dodge. She's an accountant or a bookkeeper, somebody in financials. We also see it goes over to Linda Shapiro, also somebody in financials, sort of a bookkeeper accounting transaction, CCing an assistant named Richard Ruffner, also being copied Robert Biden. Robert Hunter Biden is that guy's name. Says, hello, VP team, because they're VP. Says, I spoke with Hunter today regarding his bills. Katie's writing this. Says, everybody, I just want you to know, it is my understanding that Hunt's dad will cover these bills in the short term as Hunter transitions in his career. That's a real nice phrasing there. Very astute, very diplomatic. You don't have to ruffle any feathers with that. Well, what are we going to call Hunter, getting cleaned up for the spotlight now that daddy's running for president? We're going to call it a transition. Love it. I have a list of the current bills of which I am aware. All the wreckage of his past. He says, I have attached the list below. You see that here. Hunter's bills, 2018 to 2019, couple outstanding invoices on there. Daddy's going to clean it up. I am sure, she writes, we will need to go over all of this to make a smooth transition. Many I can log into and change bank accounts, or I can give you the logins, up to you. At any rate, I wanted to get the ball rolling. Please let me know a convenient time for this call. That said, I'm traveling for the holiday weekend, so don't call me then. And I'll be back to my home office on Tuesday. Also, as is understandable, I will no longer be working for Hunter after January 31st because he is transitioning now. I will, of course, remain in touch if you have any other questions. Thank you both. It's been a pleasure working with you both. I wish I had the chance to meet you in person, but good riddance. Get out of my life. Attaches Hunter's bills there. So it sounds like Hunter got notified. Everybody here on the email got notified. Daddy is opening up the checkbook. Take my credit card there, son. I'm running for president. All right. We take a look at the bills, PDF of those, and you start to see these are not just like overdue water bills or something. It's not like, oh, I got a credit card bill, forgot to pay for that t-shirt. But here, this is a pretty significant chunk of change. And Joe Biden apparently is covering the bill for all this. We see here, Bill Morgan got an invoice, $15,000. That was due January 1, 2019. And so this email, kind of late on that first invoice. The others now are due ASAP. So I'm guessing those are pretty seriously overdue. These all go to a law firm called Fager, Baker, Daniels, and they're not around anymore. They broke up. We're going to take a look at the invoice that was also attached, came out from the Daily Mail. Here we can see three different big buckets of categories. We got confidential investing, whatever that is, $82,000 legal bill. Pretty significant. Big bill there. A lot of legal work. So a lot of confidential investing. Nobody knows what that is. We have a Burnham restructuring. And remember that Hunter and Eric and his business partners, they had a number of different shell companies and they would create these structures and they would call it, BHR1 or RSP1, RSP2, Alpha Bravo, all the different permutations of it because they were all just shell companies moving stuff around. Here is what we're interested in. This is the big one in the middle. BHR restructuring. BHR, we've seen that before, and this is a big fat bill here, $28,000. $82,000, $28,000, another $20,000. In addition to Bill Morgan, he's owed $15,000. So it's a lot. It's a big chunk of money. Joe Biden, would you kind of keep an eye on that? Son, my goodness here. I said you could use the credit card, but this is ridiculous. $80,000? For confidential investing? We're going to have to talk about this here, Hunter. Come tell me what you're spending your money on there, son. Joe Biden has no idea. He didn't know where he was back then either. But we can see the law firm invoice looks like this, and we can learn a little bit more about what this BHR restructuring is. Oh, here you see the matter of the law firm is the BHI Shanghai restructuring. It's Bohai Harvest RST. Same thing that matches here. BHR restructuring, Bohai Harvest RST. Restructuring. This is the client. Guess who it is? Right there. Robert Hunter Biden over at Rosemont Seneca Advisors, along with Eric D. Sherwin, the same guy that was at the White House meeting with Vice President Biden. Right here. The invoice, October 16, 2018. So now we know Joe Biden was meeting with Eric Sherwin. Joe Biden said he's going to pay some of these bills. And here you can see the breakdown of the bill. This one, 9/16/2016, another one October, another one December. We've got A January billing 2017, we go up to 2018, April 23rd, and then a 6/15 billing. So several years, 2 years of billings totaling $68,000. And it's all for this Bohai RST, Shanghai Restructuring. Wonder what that could be. And they say, hey, look, some of these bills can be old. Please contact Miss Bailey if you want to pay these. She'll be happy to assist you. And this law firm used to be called Fager, Baker, Daniels. Apparently they have a split up, happens, law firms. But that they restructured, and now they're Fager, Drinker. And they're owed a lot of money. That's a big paycheck. $68,000 of legal fees, legal services. That's a lot. But we know that that's okay. I mean, some of this stuff can be legitimate. Could just be legal business deals that Hunter Biden is a part of. So we need to dig into this a little bit further. What are we talking about here? Bohai Harvest RST. This is where it gets interesting. We learn a little bit more about this organization over from Bloomberg. It is an equity investment fund, operates as a private equity company, runs cross-border merging, cross-border acquisitions, investment transactions, and other businesses. It serves customers in the United States and Shanghai. So a number of different board members. Of course, we see here no names of Hunter Biden on this because why? Well, it was restructured. There was a lot of legal work that went in to shift him off of this board because he was on it at one point. More details come from Wikipedia, and they tell us in November 2021, New York Times got with the program and started talking about this stuff. They reported that BHR Partners helped finance a coal mining company in Australia that was controlled by a Chinese state-owned enterprise. They also helped a subsidiary of a Chinese defense company acquire an auto parts manufacturer over in Michigan. So it seems like Hunter Biden, if he's a part of this company, is helping do those things. Also detailed how BHR, whose founding board members included Hunter Biden, son of Vice President Joe Biden, facilitated the purchase of a mine, one of the world's richest cobalt mines, in a $3.8 billion deal with Congo and by China. It's a company called Chinese Molybdenum. It is a state-owned mining company. At the time, there were some problems. There was some competition there. U.S. might have wanted that a little bit. Deal has recently drawn criticism from a variety of sources saying that Hunter kept a 10% ownership stake in the firm. More details from the New York Times, how Hunter Biden's firm helped secure cobalt for the Chinese. This article published November 20th, 2021, updated December 7th. So well after Donald Trump was no longer possibly going to be in power, they could start, talking about this stuff. President's son was part owner of a venture involved in $3.8 million purchase. The metal is a key ingredient in batteries for electric vehicles. It says an investment firm where Hunter Biden, the president's son, was a founding board member, helped facilitate a Chinese company's purchase from an American company of one of the world's richest cobalt mines located in Congo. Biden, two other Americans, joined Chinese partners. They established the firm 2013 BHR called Bohai Harvest RST. We talked all about that. This is the entity that required the lawyers to do the restructuring that ran up the legal bills that Joe Biden had to pay for. As part of the deal that BHR was involved in, a company called China Molybdenum sought a partner to buy out a minority stake in the mine, a mine there in Canada. BHR got involved because that's what they do. They're brokers. They sort of work with the Chinese. Oh, you want something done in the United States or around the world? We can do that for you. Records in Hong Kong show their 1.14 billion BHR through subsidiaries paid to buy out Lunden came entirely from Chinese state-backed companies. So China MBD lined up about 700 million of that total as loans from Chinese state-backed bank, including Chinese Construction Bank. BHR raised some additional money, according to these filings. Before the deal was done, BHR also signed an agreement that allowed China to buy BHR's share of the mine, which they did 2 years later. That purchase gave China 80% ownership of the mine. So what happens is BHR says, well, we're going to go help finance this deal. We're going to get a bunch of people to come and assist us in the purchase of this mine. And the Chinese entity does the same thing. They go, a bunch of Chinese state-backed banks and entities, all, extensions of the CCP. They generate their revenue and they go to this mine in Congo and they say, hey, look, we want to buy this. We're going to split this up. We'll take a piece. Congo, you can keep a piece. China, you're going to get a piece. They enter the deal. Seems good to everybody else. Shortly thereafter, 2 years later, BHR, Hunter's company, sells their share back over to the Chinese because the Chinese want it all. They want the full pie, and they only were allowed to get in at the initial deal level with a small sliver of the pie, but afterwards they can buy the full pie. They accumulate 80% ownership. Hunter Biden helped that happen, and Joe Biden's paying for the bills for the lawyers who helped facilitate this. When the mine was sold, Mr. Biden's father was near the end of his term as vice president. All this happening right under America's eyes. Says in the run-up to the 2020 election, Hunter Biden's business ties were widely publicized. Were they? They were censored all over the place. What are you talking about? New York Post thrown off Twitter. Everybody talking about it was labeled spreading misinformation, disinformation. They called it a Russia hoax. The whole thing was completely eliminated from the media. But BHR's role in the Chinese mine purchase was not a major focus. It has taken on new relevance. Why? Because the Biden administration themselves, morons, warned this year that China might use its growing dominance of cobalt to disrupt America's retooling of its auto industry to make electric vehicles. He's saying, gosh, it would be a big problem if the Chinese got too much cobalt under their control. Probably should do something about that. Meanwhile, Hunter Biden with his crack pipes is back there like, I got the cobalt, baby. What do you need? I got it. China's like, we'll take it. Whatever you got. Charge me what you want. We want it. The metal is among several key ingredients in electric car batteries. When asked if the president had been made aware of his son's connection to a sale, White House spokesman said no. But he paid the legal bills, as we talked about. Eric Sherwin was showing up at the White House, as we talked about. It goes on and on and on. There's emails showing that 10% was kept by Hunter for the big guy, meaning Joe Biden. Joe Biden was literally meeting with his business partners and paying the legal bills. And so this story, I think, is going to continue to unfold. We know that Merrick Garland is not interested in appointing special counsel to investigate any of this. Media seems like they're kind of interested in talking about it now that Joe Biden's poll numbers are in the toilet, and they're using any excuse for a change in direction, kind of make him the scapegoat, blame all their terrible policy ideas on just a bad candidate with a bad son, and probably double down on all the insanity. But we're going to continue to follow the Hunter Biden saga wherever it may lead. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you did, I'd love it if you shared this video with a friend or family member, invited them to see what is happening around us. I would love it if you subscribed also before you got out of here, because I look forward to seeing you on the next one.